Hey everyone, how's it going? So what am I working on now? Well, I got a 2015 Jeep Renegade. A little unusual here. Not often you see this. But it has a swizzle stick. So yes, manual transmission. Customer's complaint is of a whirring noise on D-cell. Well, I come to find a couple other things. And check this out. We're going to take it for a ride here, but what I find really weird is I have a scanner hooked up to it because I was just curious about something. And it's got no check engine light. So yeah, no check engine light. And I can definitely feel a misfire. However, actually, let me move the scanner for a second. If you look at the scanner, the cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4 is showing 0, the counter right now. So we're going to go up the street and we're going to see what happens. I want to show you this for a reason. Oops. Now, the noise that they're hearing is because they got a broken motor mount. Okay, here I am in second gear. Now I'm going to accelerate. Oh, it's misfiring already, like crazy. Third gear. And it's misfiring and thumping. We got nothing. It's not showing any misfires, which I find very odd. The fact that it's not showing any misfiring. It's misfiring like mad. It's getting better as it warms up. It's raining outside, so it's probably got a bad coil. But let me pull back into the Mexican border entrance so I can show you something. But yeah, it's definitely got a broken motor mount. I could definitely feel that. So I got a funny feeling that's adding to whatever noise he has. We're gonna have to fix that first. I can't determine exactly what the noise is with that mount being broken, because maybe that mount is grounding out. Here, listen. Like I'm giving a little gas. Let go. You kind of hear this. You hear that like worry type noise? So, I'm not sure if that came through. All right, so what I wanted to show you that was a little weird. Back on the scanner here. Let's back out. Cylinder 3 misfire. Yet it's not showing anything. No check engine light, no nothing. So I find that kind of bizarre. Not sure why it's got a stored code for a misfire. Actually, it actually says active. I didn't realize that. See that? It says active. But it doesn't show on the OBD monitor, which is where you find misfire on these things. These are technically Fiats. These are technically Fiat 500s, in case you didn't know. But yeah, so let's get back to the shop. We're going to find out what that broken motor mount is, and we're going to look into that misfire, I think, because that'll really be detrimental to this thing. Why it's not throwing a light, I have no idea. The mystery. It's the mystery mobile. Okay. All right, let's get back to the shop. So up underneath the hood here, nothing out of the ordinary mount there. Mount is hidden on this side. So it sounds like it's a strut mount, which it holds the torque, or torque mount you can call it too. It holds the torque back, so I'd be willing to bet there's probably a broken one underneath. So let's put this up in the air and take a look. And then I got to make sure they want me to look at the misfire. Well, let's go up in the air. So up underneath this thing, it's pretty obvious this mount is broken. It's kind of hard to see through the camera eye, but if you look up inside there, see how this whole thing is moving? That mount flexes. Oops, hold on. Way too much. So that's what's broken. That's kind of what I thought it was going to be. So let's make sure we can get one of those, and we're going to go from there, because this thing really only has 3 mounts. One on the engine side in a corner, one on the tranny in a corner, and then this one. This is the strut one, or torque mount, and that's the one that's the problem. When you're up in the air, or when you're under a vehicle, when you're working on somebody's car, give it a good look over. You know, hey, how are the brakes? How are the tires? These tires are kind of cruddy. Brakes themselves look fine, but these tires are pretty bold. You know, considering it's been raining around here, probably should consider getting tires because you're going to hydroplane. All right, let's see if they want us to go ahead and look at the misfire. And I'm going to make sure I can get that mount quickly. Okay, so it's actually the next day. Got to take these bolts out. Got to take this whole bracket out. So here, this whole bracket has to come off because this bolt won't come out because it'll hit the exhaust there. So you got to kind of go up and over the pipe here to get to those. These are E18s here, and that's an E20. So I'm going to break those upper ones free by hand. To a spot where you can see. You can see how much this thing's moving. Okay. Slightly shorter extension. This way I can get my little 3/8 gun up there. All right. Yeah, this mount is just busted to all get out. All right, so now that should just slide out. And yeah, see that? Just all, look at that. Okay, busted the snot. So now I got to take this off this bracket. And I got too many things going on at once, so I got tools out all over the place. Once again. So this is an E20 also. Let me take that over there. And then we have the original Fiat Dodge part. So now this, go back in here and then don't tighten this up all the way. You want to get this close but not tight. So see, it still articulates. I might actually loosen that up a hair. We're going to tighten that up in the vehicle. All right, so get the mount up in place. At least somewhat close. Always start your bolts by hand. I've seen way too often where people start their bolts using impact or something like that, and they just mess everything up. Put this in there backwards right now. All right, motor's gonna have to come forward. Let me get a pry bar. Hang on a second. Now, catch one of the bolts in there first, and that'll make your life much easier. And make sure it's caught in there very good. This way when you go to catch the other bolts, you're not fighting with it. There's 2. And there's 3. And if you notice, I screwed them down quite a bit. So I've seen people only catch them catch bolts like 1 or 2 threads, and then they wind up cross-threading them because they wobble the bolt in and stuff like that. And the reason the first bolt went in as tight as it did is because it had a lot of tension on it from the weight of the motor, but that's fine. Definitely not going to hurt anything. Okay, and tighten down by hand. Hopefully you can see everything I'm doing. Let's see. Yeah, you can kind of get a gist of what I'm doing there. Okay. So that's tight. That's tight. And now we got compressor. Okay, hang on a minute. All right, so now we're going to tighten up that lower bolt there. Now I do have a set of these E wrenches. So we're going to use this E20. This is from a company called Vim. And I got this really nice kit off of Amazon. And what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description for it. I really like these. I don't use them all that often, but I tell you what, when you need them, they do come in handy. Okay, that's good and tight. All right, so now we're going to let this down and we're going to put a coil in it. Customer states that customer just told us that they just had the plugs replaced not that long ago. So I'm going to pull that one coil out and we're going to look at the plug just to verify and make sure, because you never know. They say they had the plugs replaced, but were they actually replaced? We're going to find out. All right, let me let this down. All right, so let's remove the upper engine cover. And I think it's just a pop on. Oh no, it's got a 10 there. All right, hold on, let me get my socket. So we can get this cover off. Right. So we got the 2 10s there. Okay. I'll lay that down to the side. So cylinder 3, this is cylinder 3 here. Front of the motor, 1, 2, 3. I don't know of any situation where they counted 1 at the back of the motor, but this is the front of the motor, so 1, 2, 3. Some kind of a lock on it. And I'm not quite sure how that lock comes off. See what I'm doing here. Maybe I could zoom in a little bit. Is it a lock or is it a push? I want to break it, whatever it is. I broke the coil. Okay, well, that's peculiar. I don't know why that. Doesn't matter, I broke the coil, I'm replacing it anyway. But it didn't take much to break that. I don't know if you noticed that. I'm actually going to look that up because I'm curious on how that's supposed to come apart because I can't get it to release. Alright, I mean, I don't physically see anything wrong with the coil. I don't know what size spark plugs those are. Well, they're 5/8. Alright, hang on 1 minute while I take this plug out. I know there's some background noise. I was going to pause the camera, but that spark plug is loose. That spark plug is loose. The spark plug should not be that loose. They're auto-light plugs. What does the plug actually look like? Let's see. It doesn't look like it was firing all that good, but it was definitely replaced at some point. But it wasn't tight. Now let me drop this back in. Yeah, that plug, that collar was never crushed on that plug. That wouldn't be the reason for the misfire. The reason for the misfire is probably a bad ignition coil. But I want to pull the other coils out because I want to inspect those plugs, or at least make sure they're tight. But I got to verify how to get this connector off. I'm not exactly certain because I don't recall ever having one of these 1.4. I mean, I've done turbos on these, but I've never done I've never had plugs out of one, so I've never had an ignition coil disassembled or removed. All right, let me look this up. All right, so it turns out these connectors, which I just learned, in case you run into these, you have to get up underneath here and pick this up. Like such. Then push down on the black tab and it comes out. So, okay, let me pull those other coils out. This one I'm gonna have to take this PCV or whatever this is out of the way. But I want to verify that those plugs are tight. So let me start getting that apart. I'm going to show you the next one. I'm not going to bother showing you all of them. I'll shut that off and let me zoom you in a little bit. So here you can just see me taking this coil out. Now the reason I'm not going to bother pulling all the plugs and checking them is the thing was running fine except for that one single cylinder misfire. Yeah, they're not even tight. Wow, I can't believe somebody did that. That's amazing. Let me just do the next one real quick while you're here. Tighten the spark plugs. That is truly amazing. All right, I'm not going to walk you through pulling these hoses off just to get to this one. Let me do that real quick. Actually, I want to show you something real quick. All right, hold on a second. Let me find the tool. All right. actually been waiting quite a while to show you this. See these tool? See this tool here? Okay. What is that for? All right. See these clamps here? If you take the tool, and I don't recall which is which, I think if you install it this way, let me put the light on. You put it on there this way, yeah. So the large end, hold on, the large end is towards the clasp. Do that, it releases it. You go this way, it connects it. Pretty cool tool, right? It only works with that clamped up, so be mindful. I'll actually see if I can find a link, put it in the description for this. Yeah, that clamp is used on a lot of vehicles nowadays. Before this tool, before I realized there was even this tool, I wound up cutting them off because I didn't know about it. I thought it was a single use only, and then I was like, oh shoot, it's not a single use only. It's a multi-use, so it's actually kind of cool. I kind of dig it. It's quick, it's easy. So, all right, let me get those hoses off and let me tighten up that last plug. Before I go any further, let me show you something. So I got the hoses out of the way, and I just went to go pull on that tab. Somebody broke that coil. I just stuck that back on there. So I'm gonna need another coil. All right, let me get one on order. All right, so I got the 2 new coils. I want to show you something too. So here's the coil. Obviously they're Bosch. Nice little wrap. And the reason they're Bosch is because, like I said, this is a Fiat vehicle. People don't realize that. This is a Fiat 500. The connector piece that broke off and was stuck inside the connector here, both the one that I broke and the one that was previously broken. Look at all these pieces. This is what's left of the piece that broke off of here. Now, why did it do that? This stuff has become so brittle, it was like welded to the seal that's inside there. I had to get in there with a dental pick and break everything into pieces. I have one of these. I had to break everything into pieces and dig it out. So I'm going to put the coils in. Make sure you get nothing down in the hole if you have to do this. But once I get all that stuff off, I'm going to blow it off and continue from there. So I did make sure I did tighten up that spark plug, so all the spark plugs are now tight. I can't believe it. They were all finger tight. Let me get the coils in, plugged in, and I got to put that hose back on, or the 2 hoses back on, and then we can go and road test this. Okay, all nicey nice back together. I blew everything off, so put the cover back on it, and then we can road test this. So she's driving pretty good. She's got some noise in the front end that I can hear now. And I thought it was possibly wheel bearing, but it's not. I think it's tires. Remember how shot the tires are on this thing? So let me just get up through this intersection real quick. All right, so you can, I don't know if you can hear that whir noise. I really think that's tires, because it doesn't really change all that much when I swerve the car one way or the other. So, but the other noise, the clunking noise and sensation, that's all gone. The misfire's gone, it accelerates fine. So I'm happy with that, good repair. Kind of interesting that the coils break and do that inside the connector. That's kind of a pain in the neck. But it is what it is, what are you gonna do? All right, hopefully you got something out of that video. If you did, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right guys, have a great day. Keep wrenching.